Hello guys and girls, welcome back to yet another TryHard Diablo 3 class guide. So we'll be discussing the Witch Doctor and the 1.0.5 changes and how they've affected the class. We'll be going over a couple of specs, also how to gear correctly, and we'll go over the actual changes and how they've affected the class. Just a quick reminder, if you do find this guide useful, do not forget to subscribe and like, drop a comment as well if you feel you want to as well. So yeah, let's get started with a couple specs. Oh, and that's the other really quick thing. My Twitter is up, so if you do want information on guides that are coming out and progress and things like that, and just a couple other random things, go to the Twitter. It'll be on the link on the screen, so just go and follow there. Alright, so let's get started with a couple specs here. Now, let me just quickly swap that over. Okay, so this is the first spec I'm going to show you. This is the main spec I use, and overall I find it to be the most efficient, and it's just my favorite, just completely. It's really fun, fast, and efficient. So yeah, let's go over it. Primary will be Firebomb with Ghost Bomb. Now you can do a couple different variations of this. I find this one to actually be the most effective while clearing trash, and it's really good on elite packs as well. Ghost Bomb does a pretty nice AoE. It's 30% weapon damage for 28 yards. That's a really big AoE radius. You don't see it when you actually cast a spell. The big circle that goes around it. That's a huge radius, and it does a lot of damage to everything. So if you have a really fast attack speed, you can get those pumping out and doing crazy AoE damage. So that I'll show you the variants so you can swap it with afterwards, but we'll stick with that for now. Now, secondary, again, there's a couple different things you can use here, but I prefer Grasp of Dead with Death is Life. Now, what this does is it gives you a 10% chance to have a health globe or a zombie dog. Now, the zombie dogs suck from this. They're not very good. They die pretty quickly. They're not like normal zombie dogs, I'm pretty sure. They just don't seem to have the defensive components on them. But anyways, either way, you get 10% chance to have a health globe as well. So when you're clearing through trash, you constantly keep up your passives, which we'll go over in a second, which is awesome, which is really good, and I'll tell you why when we get to the passives. So yeah, you can use that, or I'll go over the variants again in a bit. Now, Acid Cloud is my main attack. This does crazy damage, and I'm using Acid Rain. Now, I could use a better damage rune on this, but I actually prefer the radius, mainly because 24 yards hits everything on your screen pretty much. Like, when you drop it on some trash, the trash all just explodes and dies instantly. So, it's really efficient to use that, and I'll go over the other ones again in a bit. Soul Harvests, now, again, you can use other things. I use Soul to Waste, which gives you 60-second duration. Now, the reason I use this is because I don't like to run in every 30 seconds and get in between 5 mobs and cast it. It's not always the most efficient thing to do that, so I just get the minute on it, so I don't have to refresh it. And then if I come across an elite pack, which takes a little while, I don't risk kind of losing my 5 stack because the duration runs out. Spirit Walk, kind of have to go with this normally. Well, you don't have to, but it kind of adds to efficiency because of the run speed. Use Jaunt to make it 3 seconds, so you get 50% run speed for 3 seconds, and then obviously you're like invulnerable at the same time, pretty much. So. Now, you're going to want to use your Gargantuan. He's awesome. Humongoid's pretty good. Cleaves multiple targets for 130% weapon damage. I tested out the other ones. Big Stinker is alright. It's good, but it's nothing it's nothing amazing. I found Humongoid a bit better. I think Big Stinker's better if you're using the damage reduction on poison passive, but I found Humongoid to be the best one by quite a bit. Now, your passives can be completely adjustable, but this is probably the best way you're going to want to do it. Pierce the Veil, which obviously gives you damage, and then mana cost increased by 30%. Gruesome Feasts, whenever you pick up a health globe, you get 10% of your maximum life, 10% of your maximum mana, and you gain 10% intelligence for 10 seconds, stacking 5 times. So you can get 50% intelligence. If you have like a 2k base, that's 1,000 extra for 10 seconds, which is really nice. And Graven Justice, whenever an enemy dies, you get 2% of your mana back, and then your cooldowns are reduced by 1 second. Now, let's talk about how this build kind of works in terms of using those 2 passive skills. Now, both those passive skills are technically, Gruesome Feast is based on your pickup radius because you're picking up the health globes, and Graven Justice is directly increased by your pickup radius. So, the higher pickup radius you have, the longer range you're going to pick up health globes, and the longer range you're going to reduce your cooldowns. So, I'm just going to show you this really quickly. We'll go into gearing later, but there's this offhand you can get called Thing of the Deep, and it gives you a 20-yard pickup radius on your on everything. And you can get this really cheap. They're as low as 1 million right now, with the average damage a bit lower, obviously. This one was 35 million, but that was about the second 1.0.4 hit. I think it was 1.0.4, I forget. But I bought that forever ago. You can get them way cheaper now. Like, you can get this one equivalent for like 4 million or something. So, and that's a lot of DPS. So that's good. And then on top of that, you want to get more pickup radius. Like I have 30 yards in total. So how this spec actually works is I'm constantly killing trash, like all the time. In Monster Power 2, I pretty much one-shot all the trash, and then I get my cooldowns reduced, and I pick up all the health globes, so I have crazy damage stacking, and I'm constantly spirit walking around. So like, as you can see, it goes really, really fast. I kill a pack pretty much in the spirit walk and reset the entire cooldown most of the time. So I'm constantly spirit walking, and it's very efficient to get around. Now, in terms of kind of it reduces the cooldown on Grasp of the Dead, your Grasp of the Dead is always up. You can constantly spam it pretty much, and what that means is you're constantly getting more health globes, and you're keeping your zombie dogs up as well. So overall, these work beautifully together. Once you have pickup radius, it's a huge difference. I'd recommend 20 yards plus, and you will be laughing. It's really fun to do. So yeah, try that out. And now, in terms of variations, you can swap out Ghost Bomb for Roll the Bones or Flash Fire. Flash Fire bounces back and forth. It does cap out. If you have 3 elites, it won't keep bouncing back and forth like I said it would before. It does not do that. But it is good. And Roll the Bones bounces twice, doing insane AoE damage. And it's really, really good, but it's a bit situational. If mobs aren't kind of lined up for you, like bowling ball or bowling pins, then you can't really knock them down. So I use Ghost Bomb because it's most kind of effective. Like, it's always going to hit what you want it to hit, which is nice. And then Death is Life. I'd definitely recommend using this if you're using the Health Globe build. But you can swap it out for Groping Eels for more damage. Rain of Corpses is really nice versus Elite Packs. It drops like these bombs on them for 80% weapon damage. And it's like a buff. So if you cast it and you run 50 yards away, you're still dropping those bombs on people, which is nice. So you don't have to like stay in the radius of Grasp of the Dead. And then Desperate Grasp reduces the cooldown, but you're not going to have problems with that with your reduced cooldown anyways. And then you can use Unbreakable Grasp, but I don't see the need anymore now that you have pets. So then Acid Rain, like I said, this is my complete personal preference. I use this because it does hit way more mobs, equaling more DPS most of the time. But you can use kind of like Lob Bomb, which leaves the users behind doing nice damage. Really good for elites when you have like 6 or 7 of those out, or 5 or 6. Sorry, it's crazy damage. And then Kiss of Death. None of these are amazing. Corpse Bomb's good, but I still don't find the DPS to be as good as Acid Rain. And then Kiss of Death is melee, so yeah. Other than that, not too much variation. I'd probably stick with that build. It's overall, in my opinion, the best build possible. And yeah, let's get moving on to the second build, and I'll show you what you can do with that. Alright, so the first build pretty much was for monster powers, like 0 through 3, 4, maybe 5, depending on your DPS. With that build, you're kind of relying on killing things quick and just moving along. Now, this build is more sustained DPS. Now, what that means is it's better for mobs who have more health. This is overall going to be better DPS for mobs who have, like, way more health. So it's more for, like, monster powers 5 or 6. But you can use it earlier on. You can kind of adjust it for however you want it to be for lower monster powers. But this is really for monster powers kind of 5 or 6 plus. This is what I use when I'm farming 5. And this is what I use when I'm doing Infernal Machine as well. So let's go over it. So the primary is going to be Corpse Spiders. Now, you can use Blazing Spiders or Leaping Spiders. They're both pretty much equivalent DPS. I'm actually going to say use Leaping Spiders because when they kill enemies, they leap to the next ones instead of kind of walking over, and they leap really quickly. So in terms of like actually efficiency, they're really good. Blazing Spiders are overall a bit more DPS, it seems, though, on kind of elite packs and things like that. So I normally use Leaping Spiders, but Blazing Spiders are pretty good as well. Now, your secondary, you can, lots of people, you can use anything you want as your secondary technically, but this is what I like. It does really good AoE damage, and it just overall is good against elite packs. I use Locust Swarm with Pestilence, and now this gives your Locust Swarm a 100% chance to jump to 2 additional targets instead of 1, so it spreads really quickly. And when you're on kind of big trash packs, you can see it spreading like really fast. It's really nice. The other ones are pretty good, but this is what I'd recommend using definitely. Now your kind of main spell again, I use Acid Cloud. I love this spell, I think it's awesome. But I use Lob Bomb mainly because against elite packs in Monster Power 5 and 6, they have a lot of health and you want to do more damage, and this does a lot more damage. It kind of single target against them or against 3 mobs or whatever, so use that. Again, you're defensive and terror. You're going to use Soul Harvest, and you're going to use Spirit Walk again. But with Soul Harvest, you don't have to use Soul to Waste, mainly because you don't need 60 seconds on your Soul Harvest, because you can cast, get a 5 stack whenever you want, because there's always, 5 enemies around and things like that. So I use Siphon just for the extra life kind of steal. So if I'm against Reflect damage, which is kind of like, I'd say it's Demon Hunter's worst kind of enemy to fight, you have a bit more health regen. You can get up to over 10k health with that, which is a nice chunk of your life depending on what it is. So I definitely recommend using that, or whatever you want. Like, I mean, if you have mana problems, use that. Use Soul to Swallow, or Swallow Your Soul, or whatever it is. 39 mana per enemy. But yeah, that's what I use. It's good for reflect damage. It's really nice. And then I use Jaunt again. Again, this can be swapped. I still prefer Jaunt because it is one of the best defensive mechanics. I'm giving you that extra second to cast. But you can use the other ones. Like Honored Guest is nice for mana regen. And then there's Healing Journey, which is 7% of your maximum life every second. So nice little bonus, but I still prefer Jaunt. And then again, Gargantuan with Humongoid. Not really going to want anything else. I mean, like, yeah, I'd say it's still the best one for this. Now, your passive skills, again, adjustable. I'm using Pierce the Veil for the extra damage. I find that essential. Jungle Fortitude, which gives you 15% reduced damage on you and your pet, which is awesome for reflect damage. Really, really nice. And then Vision Quest, because you're constantly using your mana with this build. You're not getting the mana back from health globes from Gruesome Feast and Grave Injustice, because you're not killing enemies as fast, so I'm not using those because of that. Like, overall, Vision Quest is giving me a bit more DPS than Gruesome Feast, mainly because mobs don't die instantly, and I don't get the health globes straight away. So Vision Quest is really nice just for sustaining your mana and keeping it really good. And then if you have good mana regen on top of that, off your offhand or main hand or whatever it might be, then your mana regen is going to be really good. So that's pretty much the build. You can adjust it for how you want. You don't have to use, Corpse Spiders. You can use whatever you want, like Firebomb, Poison Dart, but this is just what I prefer. I think it does the most DPS overall against elite packs and things like that. So yeah, that's about it for the builds. One other thing I just wanted to mention was my follower. I've been testing out the Templar quite a bit in Monster Powers 5 and 6, and I really like him. You lose the DPS from your Scoundrel. You might lose the 5% armor from your Enchantress and the attack speed, but you get a couple cool things like Intervene. Taunts enemies for 1 second. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're kiting like a pack away and you get hit, he taunts everything for 1 second, giving you kind of a 2-second gap in between everything. Because you're moving away for 1 second and they're moving towards your Templar for 1 second, kind of making a bigger gap between you and the enemy, which is awesome. I like it. And then you have your heal as well, which is 5k. You can't complain. Now, loyalty, 155 life per second. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's noticeable. And if you have any on your other gear, it's really noticeable. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then charge, you don't really notice this, but you kind of have to pick one of the two. Stuns enemies for 8 yards, 2 seconds. You might notice it on trash, who knows, but I don't. And then this is the big one. This is why I kind of use my Templar lately, is because of the mana regen. 4 per second doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up quickly with your other mana regen off other things. Like, that's 14 automatically. If I had a helm and a weapon that were giving me mana regen, my mana regen would be insane. So I'd just be able to spam Poison Cloud all day. Or Acid Cloud, sorry. So that's why I'm using the Templar. It's up to you guys to use him or not, but I prefer him in Monster Powers 5 and 6. It's really, really nice. So yeah, and if I'm soloing Infernal Machines at 5 or 6, I definitely like the Templar, because he's a tank, and yeah, he's awesome. So yeah, guys, that about covers it for the specs. Let's go over some gearing. Rightio, so we will quickly just do a little preview of my gear, and then just so you can have kind of something to compare your gear to. And then I'll go over why I picked each stat in each slot. Nothing has changed with Witch Doctors 1.0.5 in terms of gearing. Everything's the same as 1.0.4, but we'll go over it anyways, just so you guys kind of have a better idea of what to go for. So yeah, my main hand. Now this main hand, I wouldn't recommend these stats. This is actually my Barbarian's kind of monster power main hand. The reason I'm using this is just because I sold my Witch Doctor's main hand a while ago, but pretty much the stats you want to go for on your main hand will be high intelligence, critical hit damage, open socket, and preferably life on hit. And if you don't have life on hit on your main hand, get a main hand that you can swap in with life on hit and maybe life steal on it for reflect damage packs, because it's quite noticeable, the life on hit. If you don't have life on hit against reflect damage, you notice the difference. It's really a pain in the ass. So yeah. So critical hit damage, high intelligence, open socket, and preferably life on hit if you can afford it, but it's really expensive. So, and then high DPS, as high as you can get for whatever money you have. Now, offhand, I'm using Thing of a Deep because I'm using the spec where it's, pickup radius and things like that. So on this, you want to go for, it always has critical hit chance, if I recall correctly. It should always have critical hit chance, it should always have maximum mana, and it should always have, it shouldn't always have intelligence, but you should go for intelligence on this. Reason mine was so expensive at the time is because it has 277 intelligence, which is a lot. So when you're searching for this, go for high average damage, as high as you can afford, high intelligence, again, as high as you can afford, then the other stats just fall into place anyways, so it's pretty good. I'd recommend this for all Witch Doctors, really. It's amazing. And then in terms of the other gear, we'll just quickly go, I'll just show you all the gear I'm using. I went for high intelligence, high vitality, and all resist on all of my gear, as you can see. It follows through on everything. High intelligence, high vitality, all resist. And then I'll go over the gloves and everything in a second. And it follows through to everything. Now, nothing's changed. Rings, bracers, neck, helm, and gloves, you want to go for critical hit chance as your main stat, mainly because it's the highest DPS kind of boost you can get. And then on your rings as well, you want to mix in attack speed, and you also want to get intelligence and average damage. Now, I went over this in my last video, but I'll go over it again. Average damage is amazing for damage. You don't even know. It's that 12 to 24 damage adds almost equivalent to like 2% crit or 1% crit or something. So if you can get anywhere from I don't know, 50 to 60 average damage on your item, it's a huge DPS increase. I wish I had the item to show you, but I don't. It's actually my my monk guide. I'll post a link right here if you want. You can click on that. But yeah, average damage is amazing on rings and necks, and it's very overlooked by people and adds a lot of DPS. So try to get average damage on there as well. But like I said, rings, you want to go for a critical hit chance and attack speed along with intelligence. That's the highest kind of DPS modifiers. You can get critical hit damage on there as well, but it adds up to a lot of money when you have attack speed and critical hit chance on there as well. And then on neck, reason I didn't go for attack speed is because critical hit damage is quite high on that one. You can actually get up to 100% critical hit damage on necks now, which is really good. But I'd recommend going for critical hit chance and critical hit damage on a neck if it's over 70%. But if it's not over 70%, go for attack speed. But yeah, it's pretty affordable now to get these stats. It's not too bad. Now, in terms of your helm, you want critical hit chance, open socket. You're always going to want an open socket. Reason being is you can get your nice life gem in there, or for your paragon levels, you can get your experience gem in. And everything else is the same. Critical hit chance on bracers. Go for attack speed. Critical hit chance on gloves with high intelligence. If you can get critical hit damage on there, go for it. But it's very expensive. I even left out all resist on those to make them cheaper. But yeah. And then on your shoulders, you can get pickup radius, and on your belt you can get pickup radius. So you can even get it on your chest and pants, I think, but I didn't need more than 30 yards. So if you can get pickup radius on things, if you're playing with the Gruesome Feast spec, go for it, because it's very nice. Now in terms of defensive stat priority, to actually kind of be as defensive as you can be, off the top of my head, I'm gonna say stats you want, you're going to want a good vitality life percentage base. So I'm going to put vitality and life percentage kind of towards the top, almost equal with all resist, because you kind of need those stats to work together. Like, you need a good all resist combined with good health for good survivability. So I'm going to say vitality, life percentage, then all resist, but don't ignore all resist, obviously you need it, followed by armor. Now, the reason I say armor is because it is hard to stack up high on a Witch Doctor. You don't get strength like barbarians. You don't get, like, armor from your passive like monks do, so you kind of have to put it just straight up on the gear, which costs a lot, and it's not always on the gear. So I'm going to put armor on the bottom. And then life per second is nice, but I'm not going to recommend going for it as a main stat. Now in terms of offensive stats, intelligence is the top, followed by critical hit chance, attack speed, average damage, then critical hit damage. Now I put average damage above critical hit damage because when you actually look at some average damage on your rings, when you put it on, you will see what I mean. The DPS is insane, depending on the average damage, of course. So yeah, guys, that about covers it for the stats and gearing. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to inbox me on YouTube. I do my best to get back to people. It's hard sometimes because there's a lot of messages, but yeah, hit me up on there. Yeah, let's move on to the 1.0.5 changes. Alright, so we're going to keep this short but sweet. Nothing has changed really for Witch Doctors. This whole patch in general was not a huge change for most classes. It was just kind of like a Yeah, I mean, it was mainly just for monster power and, Infernal Machine and things like that. So not much has changed again. Let's go over the changes anyways. As you can see, Fire Bat's mana cost is reduced by 20%, which is actually a pretty huge noticeable difference. I was using Fire Bats before the patch a bit, and I tried them after the patch, and the difference is really noticeable. So that's nice. Thank you, Blizzard, for the 20% reduced mana cost. Won't complain. Now, Haunt, being kind of buffed, I suppose. Weapon damage increased from 575 over 12 to 575 over 6. So obviously it's technically being doubled. Technically. It just bigger burst of damage over a shorter cooldown or shorter duration. The runes are being buffed as well. Resentful Spirits is being buffed by 100% damage over 2 seconds, which is nice. Everything else, nothing amazing. Like Well of Souls seeks 40 yards to 25, nothing huge. Wall of Zombies cooldowns being reduced by 20%? Yeah, 20%, which is nice, but I don't use Wall of Zombies anyways. I don't know if you guys do or not. Pylon, this is an awesome spell. It's really fun, and I was actually using it for a while, a couple days ago. It's 10-second cooldown now, does almost 200% less damage, but technically the DPS is being improved because the cooldown's being reduced by more than half. So that's really fun. It does crazy damage, and I was using this with Gruesome Feast and sorry, wow, I'm losing my voice here, guys. Sorry, I'm sick. I was using that with Gruesome Feast and the other spell, Grave Injustice, and the cooldown resets itself every time you kill 10 enemies. So it's you can just spam it almost. It's cool. Other than that, this one is the main difference. Gruesome Feast now doesn't reduce anything. I don't know where I read that from. The Gruesome Feast now has a buff icon, which is awesome. You can actually see when your stacks are going to run out, and when you have stacks. So you don't have to keep clicking C to look at your character panel, which is a pain in the ass. But yeah, so it has a buff now. Thank you, guys. That's cool. Nothing else. These are nothing. Jungle Fortitude is being reduced, but they did that with every single class. They reduced the your defensive components to make up for the damage loss in Monster Power 0. But yeah, whatever, it's not a big difference. And then that's about it. Haunt now benefits from intelligence and other skill bonuses. I never even noticed that it didn't, so I don't know if you guys did or not. Yeah, so anyways, that's it for the changes, really. Like I said, nothing's changed. It's the same thing, really. I think 1.0.6 is where we're going to see some changes, hopefully, and hopefully that's when we see the PvP patch come out. I honestly, right now, I want to talk about some changes that I want to see done with the Witch Doctor class, but I really like the Witch Doctor class right now. I don't find anything wrong with them. One thing I would like with Witch Doctors, though, is reflect damage. I mean, I have pretty decent gear. It's not amazing, but it's good. And reflect damage on monster powers like 4 and 5 still own me pretty badly. I mean, I don't have a DPS high enough to use lifesteal, which would probably make a huge difference. But I don't know. I feel like they should maybe give us something like a different health return or something. Or maybe like a chance on hit to get health globes out or something. I don't know, because reflect damage is just a pain in the ass. It feels like it's like an uphill battle, which, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying it's too hard to fight them, but it's not hard, it's annoying. It's not a challenge, it's just a pain in the ass. So that's what I'd like to see, but I don't know. You guys let me know if you agree or not. Let's talk about some future. So yeah, that wraps it up for today's guide. Hopefully you found it useful. Hopefully you like the builds. I know I showed the first build in my last guide, but it's my favorite build. I love it, and I kind of want everyone to use it because it's so good. Link me your builds as well. Let me know what you guys are using, and if you have anything better, I'd be interested to have a look at those. Maybe feature them in a future guide. So let me know. But yeah, that's it for Witch Doctors for today. It's my favorite class pretty much. It was my main up until this patch, where I've been just messing around with my my barbarian. I didn't sell out. I just, I like to change my main every patch, it seems. It's just, just to mix the game up a bit, keep it interesting for me. So I'm playing my barbar right now, which is fun. But Witch Doctors are fucking awesome. So yeah, anyways, future guides are coming out. I got the Witch Doctor budget guide coming out tomorrow on Friday. We're going to use a 3 million budget. So yeah, that's going to be cool. I'm going to show you guys how to get the most out of your money and farm Monster Power 0 through 2 with that. And then I have another class guide coming out next Tuesday or Wednesday. It'll be the Demon Hunter or the Wizard. So I want you guys to I would like you guys to vote on which one you want it to be. So please, yeah, I'll put a little thing in the comment section below. Thumbs up which one you want, and you will get that guide coming out next Tuesday or Wednesday. And also, I do apologize for the the delay on this guide, I lost my voice pretty much at the beginning of the week, and I couldn't speak. So yeah, that's it sucked big time. All right, guys, that covers it for today. I'm gonna stop rambling. Follow me on Twitter. The Twitter link is below in the comment section below. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you liked the video. Thanks a lot, guys. I will see you later. Bye bye.